Hello and welcome to part 5. This is Icewave, one of the oldest bots I've built, but now we're starting to head into the modern era with bots. So the original Icewave was this. It had a weapon, actually it was identical. Well, no, the original one had wheels in the middle. It was really bad and it could fall apart at any time. For my channel I rebuilt it to this, but I had plans to build Icewave to what it is today. Like this one put the old Icewave out of business. This may be turned into either Brutality or Perfect Phoenix. I don't know which. Which Perfect Phoenix is a bot this year for 2020. I plan on doing it because it's got a lot of characteristics. Or I may completely rebuild and build another one. And just completely retire this piece. Which, you know, I'm in for that. That's going to be fun. But it's just kind of crazy to think that this is really one of the oldest bots I have. But it's so much better than some. Now, it did beat Tombstone, which is the oldest bot that I had in my tournament last year. This thing has a lot of weaknesses, though. I'm surprised it did. Its blade falls off really easy, and when it gets flipped, I normally would spin it around like this, as it just shot the blade across the arena nice. Now, I saw last year when it lost to Titan that its blade had so many weaknesses, I was like, it's time to rebuild it and bring in a new Icewave. This thing never won a championship in my channel because it could always be flipped. The original one I no longer have and I don't have any pictures of was ripped apart so many times that I just stopped using it at one point. I couldn't rebuild it, it was that bad. And I rebuilt it again but a little bit stronger. I did not realize what the heck just happened. What I would build when I did this, but this thing, it might actually win the championship this season. I'm being serious. It is really strong. And just I know it can beat Tombstone, not Tombstone weapon now, but the old weapon, it would actually beat that easily. It would just knock it straight off like it's nothing. Now up here, this is where I would hold it so I don't push this down and stop the blade, which is kind of what that's for. It's more like a break to the blade, which is pretty cool. But the little exhaust thing up here is what's representing. If it gets flipped, it does kind of what it does in the show, where it would like just kind of fall on. Which I know when it did get flipped against Ghost Raptor, it fell off or got crushed. I can't remember which. Now this is resembling the 2018 one against Scorpios with the little orange beak in the front. This is just covering it up and holding this together up here. Now, you'll probably see eventually, somewhere down the road, Icewave's top will be ripped apart. It'll be a lot like Brutality, or actually, probably more of a squared version of Bloodsport, which would be an interesting bot to truly build. The Bloodsport I have now is really bad. So, this would mean that the blade no longer works, and it's just a wedge. I'm trying to make Icewave a little more realistic. But I really don't think that's going to happen. It can. I've had it happen, but it's very unlikely because it has to be an insane hit that knocks the top off. Now this bot, eventually the little piece here will get pushed down. If you know how to fix that, please say it in the comments, because I've always had problems. I solved it with my full body spinners finally, which that took a bit. Now this blade is actually really heavy for some compared to the original. Now if I would take Icewave apart, it has got one of the oddest pieces that help the blade spin. This is it. That's what keeps the blade off the main bot, and so it doesn't grind against it. Icewave's top. This is the little shaft. That's all it is. And really, this, I gave a teaser out on the Chaotix Robotics Discord. This is, I was like, I wonder who this belongs to with the little exhaust piece in it. Nobody even, I mean, somebody guessed and it was put in the Lego and connects, but that's a long story there. Not really getting into it. Now the blade, this is it's bigger than the old Icewave's blade, I think. No, the old one is bigger, but this thing's definitely thicker and it does a lot more damage. Now the old one, I used this as the turning piece, which this no longer has, and that's why I built it like I did, and I'm glad I did. But yes, the bottom design I did use from Battlebots Explains from watching a few videos. So shout out to him. Like I did not take credit for designing any really at all. So now time to put it back together. This is always fun. So you gotta put this shaft through the head first. That's pretty much what I call it. Put the weapon bar on. Put the little pretty much going across a little disc. Then just kind of push it down into the bot until you can't move anymore. Put the head down until it barely misses the blade. Put the exhaust fan on, and here you go. Now, this thing spins so much faster than the original one. It's insane. I mean, it can actually flip itself over, and I have seen it. It just knocked the blade off with sheer power, which is insane. Now, this thing is getting really beat up. The blade's already getting chewed apart on one side. So, I can't wait to see what it does in the tournament. And, the only problem is, and just like Real Show, the floor has some issues with it. It, like, levitates off, so it can start spinning, and eventually it'll spin over to the wall. Which, I do plan to get a new floor for this. Instead of the Battlebots here, it'll say Lego Robotics 101, my channel name. It will have the red and blue squares and the pulverizers. I'm actually planning on getting a piece of wood and drilling the holes for the walls. That way it can actually work like that. That's going to be an interesting idea. So, that'll be the end of this double bot review, which isn't bot, but oh well. As you saw, it already started spinning. And I'll see you all next time.